Whispers in the void. The crystal caverns of Krylos 6 hummed with an eerie vibration that Ilara Vance had never recorded before. She adjusted her scanner, frowning at the readings that made no sense according to any known energy pattern in the database. 3 weeks into her 6-month research assignment, and she'd already found something the mining corporation would pay handsomely to understand. Control, I'm following an anomalous reading in Sector 12. Permission to extend my survey path? She spoke into her comm unit, knowing the delay meant she'd be moving before they could respond. Her boots crunched over crystal fragments as she descended deeper into the cavern system, the biolights on her suit casting blue shadows across the mineral formations. The scanner pulsed faster as she approached a narrow fissure in the cavern wall, one that wasn't on any of the survey maps. Dr. Vance returned to base immediately. Uncharted territories are prohibited without a security team. The delayed response crackled through her comm. Ilara hesitated only briefly before switching her comm to passive mode. Discovery waited for no one, especially not corporate bureaucracy. She squeezed through the fissure, the walls scraping against her environmental suit. The chamber beyond stole her breath. Massive crystal formations rose from floor to ceiling, but unlike the blue-white crystals in the mapped caverns, these pulsed with a deep violet glow. Her scanner went wild, then died completely. Fascinating, she whispered, reaching out toward the nearest formation. I wouldn't touch that if I were you. Ilara spun around, heart hammering. In the shadows stood a figure. Humanoid, but clearly not human. Tall and lithe, with skin that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. The being watched her with eyes that glowed the same violet as the crystals. Who are you? Ilara managed, her hand moving subtly toward the emergency beacon at her belt. Someone who belongs here more than you do. The figure stepped forward, and Ilara could now see him clearly. A male-formed entity with features both beautiful and predatory. The question is, why aren't you running? Most of your kind do when they see me. I'm a scientist. Running from new discoveries isn't in my nature, Ilara replied, surprising herself with her steady voice. What are you? A smile curved his lips. I am Nyx. My people are called the Umbra by yours, though that name misses the essence of what we are. Umbra. Ilara's blood chilled. The mining corporation's restricted files mentioned them. Energy vampires, they were called in hushed tones. Beings who fed on the life force of sentient creatures. You're very calm for someone meeting a predator, Nyx remarked, circling her slowly. Most humans I've encountered have been screaming by now. Would screaming help? Ilara asked, standing her ground. No, but it would make this more familiar. He stopped directly before her, close enough that she could feel a strange cold emanating from him. You're different. Your energy pattern, he inhaled deeply as if scenting her. It sings rather than burns. A deep rumble interrupted them, and crystal dust rained from the ceiling. Ilara's comm crackled to life. Emergency alert! All personnel evacuate immediately. Mining charges detonated in Sector 11. Structural collapse imminent. Nyx's expression changed to one of alarm. They've breached the buffer zone. The entire crystal network will collapse. As if confirming his words, a massive crack split across the chamber ceiling. Ilara lunged for the fissure entrance, but too late. A cascade of crystal and stone blocked her escape. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was Nyx moving toward her with impossible speed, his violet eyes the only light remaining. Beautiful prisoner consciousness returned to Ilara in waves, each bringing with it a new sensation. The soft hum of medical equipment, the sterile scent of her research station, and an unfamiliar warmth spreading through her veins. She opened her eyes to find herself in her private lab, security protocols engaged, and Nyx sitting unnervingly still in the corner. You saved me, she said, her voice rough from the crystal dust she'd inhaled. Nyx's violet eyes fixed on her. And you've imprisoned me in return. These walls, he gestured to the energy field surrounding the lab, are quite effective at containing one of my kind. Protection, not imprisonment, Ilara corrected, sitting up slowly. The corporation would dissect you if they found you. I told them I was quarantining myself after exposure to unknown crystal compounds. A smile played at the corners of Nyx's mouth. How thoughtful. Though I suspect your scientific curiosity played a role in that decision. He wasn't wrong. The opportunity to study an Umbra, a being only whispered about in classified reports, was too valuable to pass up. But something else had compelled her to bring him here. Something in the way he had shielded her body with his own when the cavern collapsed. "Why did you save me?" she asked, moving closer to him despite her better judgment. Nix looked away. "Your energy signature is unique. I've never encountered a human whose life force resonates this way." He reached out, stopping just short of touching her face. "I'm curious." Alara felt it then, a gentle pull beneath her skin, as if something essential was being drawn toward his fingertips. It wasn't painful. Rather, it felt like the pleasant lightheadedness after a glass of wine. "You're feeding on me now," she observed, more fascinated than frightened. "Just a taste," he admitted. "I'm weakened from the collapse and healing both of us." Instead of backing away, Alara moved closer, a scientist's curiosity overwhelming caution. "How does it work?" "The energy transfer?" Nix's eyes widened at her approach. "Proximity intensifies it. Touch," his voice lowered, "makes it intimate." When their fingers met, Alara gasped. The sensation was electric. Energy flowing from her to him, but something else returning. Something that made her nerve endings sing with pleasure. "That's not in any of the reports," she whispered. "Because no Umbra has ever returned energy to a human before." Nix looked as surprised as she felt. "This is unprecedented." Over the next days, their arrangement evolved. Alara conducted her research, sending falsified reports to the corporation while studying Nix in secret. He allowed her scans and samples in exchange for controlled energy feedings, each more intense than the last. "Your cellular structure is adapting," she told him one evening, reviewing her findings. "And mine is changing too. The exchange is creating something new in both of us." Nix moved behind her, his presence now familiar and enticing rather than threatening. "The hunger is different with you," he confessed, his breath cool against her neck. "It's not just sustenance I crave." When his hands slid around her waist, Alara leaned back into him, the energy exchange beginning instantly. This time, she didn't resist as the pleasure washed through her, intensifying as their connection deepened. The lab's communication panel chimed, breaking their moment. "Dr. Vance, this is Director Mercer. Your quarantine period has exceeded protocols. We're sending Investigator Reed to evaluate your condition tomorrow at 800. Nix tensed against her. "They suspect something." "Then we have until morning," Alara replied, turning in his arms, her decision made. "Show me what happens when we don't hold back." That night, as Nix drew her energy in carefully measured waves, returning pleasure in its place, Alara discovered what it meant to be truly connected to another being. Their bodies entwined as energies merged, creating brief moments where she couldn't tell where she ended and he began. In those moments, she glimpsed his world, the void between stars where the Umbra drifted, feeding on cosmic energies until humans had arrived with their richer, more intoxicating life force. Morning found them still entangled, Nix stronger than she'd seen him, a subtle glow beneath his skin. Alara felt not depleted but transformed, as if something dormant had awakened within her. The lab's alarm broke their reverie. "Proximity alert. Security personnel approaching Research Station Alpha." "They're early," Alara said, scrambling to her feet. "You need to hide." Nix caught her arm. "They'll find me eventually. My presence changes the energy signature of everything around it, including you now." Alara looked at her hands, seeing the faint violet luminescence beneath her skin. Whatever was happening between them had marked her visibly. There would be no hiding it from the investigator. "Then we run," she decided, already gathering essential supplies. "My research shuttle has enough range to reach the outer colonies." "The crystal caverns would be safer," Nix countered. "My people have sheltered there for centuries." The security override on her lab door began its countdown sequence. 60 seconds until breach. "Choose, Alara," Nix urged. "Your world or mine?" Forbidden exchange. The crystal caverns hummed with energy that resonated with the new changes in Alara's body. 3 days into their escape, deep in uncharted territories beneath the planet's crust. She had acclimatized to the strange violet glow that now emanated from her skin when Nyx was near. "The corporation has placed a bounty on both of us," she said, checking her portable communications array. "They're calling me a traitor, and you an unclassified hostile entity." Nyx moved with liquid grace across the crystal formations, seemingly drawing strength from their resonance. "And yet you don't regret your choice." It wasn't a question, but Alara answered anyway. "How could I? What's happening between us could change everything we understand about energy transfer, about life itself." She approached him, watching as the glow beneath her skin intensified with proximity. "Besides, you ruined me for normal human interaction." His smile was predatory but affectionate. "The feeling is mutual, scientist." Their refuge was a vast chamber deep in the unmapped regions, where massive violet crystals formed a natural amphitheater around a pool of luminescent liquid, not water, but some form of energized matter that responded to their presence, rippling when they moved near it. "My people call this the Nexus," Nyx explained. "It's where the boundaries between energy forms are thinnest. We come here to commune, to exchange, to reproduce." Alara's scientific mind raced with implications. "Is that what's happening to us? Some form of reproduction?" "Not exactly," Nyx guided her closer to the pool. "But the energy we've been sharing has created something new. Look." He passed his hand over the surface of the pool, and the liquid formed an image, a swirling pattern of light, half violet like his energy signature, half golden like hers, melding together in an intricate dance. "That's us?" "What exists between us," he corrected. "A new form of energy, neither Umbra nor human. The elders spoke of such possibilities, but they were considered myths." Alara knelt by the pool, fascinated. "Can we harness it? This new energy could solve the resource crisis that's driving corporations like mine to strip mine planets." Before Nyx could answer, the pool's surface rippled violently, the peaceful swirls replaced by sharp, aggressive patterns. "We're not alone," Nyx whispered, pulling Alara to her feet. "My people have sensed our exchange. They're coming. Are we in danger?" His expression darkened. The Umbra survive by taking. The idea of giving, of exchange, threatens their entire way of existence. His hands gripped her shoulders. "What we've discovered could change both our species, but first we have to survive to share it." A shadow detached from the darkness at the chamber's edge. Another Umbra. This one female formed, her movements predatory and precise. "Brother!" she hissed, her voice like crystal shards scraping together. "What abomination have you created with this human?" "Lyra," Nyx acknowledged, positioning himself between the newcomer and Alara. "This isn't what you think. It's exactly what I think." Lyra circled them, her form seeming to flicker in and out of solid existence. "You've broken our most sacred law. Energy is taken, never given. Yet here you stand, polluted by exchange." Alara stepped forward despite Nyx's protective stance. "Your way leads only to predation and eventual extinction. What we've discovered could sustain both our species without harm." Lyra's laughter was cold. Pretty words from prey. She moved with blinding speed, her hand closing around Alara's throat. "Let me show you the true nature of Umbra." The pain was immediate and intense, nothing like Nyx's careful feeding. This was raw theft, a violent tearing of energy from its source. Alara felt her consciousness dimming, her life force draining away. Then suddenly it stopped. Nyx had thrown Lyra across the chamber, his form now blazing with combined energy, violet and gold intertwined. "You dare interfere with my feeding?" Lyra snarled, recovering quickly. "She is mine," Nyx replied, his voice resonating with power. "And I am hers. What flows between us cannot be taken by force." Lyra's eyes widened in shock. "You've bonded with human filth?" She backed away. The elders must know of this perversion. As she disappeared into the shadows, Nyx turned to Alara, gathering her weakened form into his arms. "We don't have much time. Once the elders know, they'll send hunters." Alara struggled to stay conscious, the violent energy drain having taken a severe toll. What did she mean, bonded? Nyx placed his hand over her heart, sending a gentle pulse of combined energy into her depleted system. The relief was immediate, strength returning to her limbs. "Among my people, to give freely of one's energy is to bond irreversibly," he explained softly. "What began as curiosity between us has become something my kind considers sacred and terrible, a true joining." "And if the bond is broken?" Ilara asked, already suspecting the answer. "Neither survives." His eyes held hers. "We must complete what we've begun, Ilara. The exchange must be finalized before they find us again." "How?" His gaze shifted to the luminescent pool. "We must enter the Nexus together, fully opening ourselves to each other. The process will either destroy us both or transform us into something new, something powerful enough to withstand what's coming." Ilara looked at the swirling energies, scientist and woman warring within her. "Will I still be a me?" Nyx traced the now permanent violet glow beneath her skin. "Yes and no. We will be ourselves, but also something more." His voice lowered to a whisper. "I cannot force this choice upon you, but know that I can no longer exist without what we've created between us." In answer, Ilara took his hand and stepped toward the edge of the pool. "Science is about discovery, about transformation." She smiled up at him. "Let's make history, shall we?" As they prepared to enter the Nexus, distant shadows gathered at the edges of the chamber. The hunters had arrived sooner than expected. Time had run out for hesitation. Hunters in shadow. The Nexus embraced them like liquid starlight, enveloping their bodies in luminescent energy that penetrated to their core. Ilara gasped as her consciousness expanded, touching Nyx's mind directly for the first time. His memories flowed into her, centuries of drifting through the cosmos, the loneliness of an existence built on taking but never connecting. And then the shock of their first encounter, how her energy had called to him like nothing before. "We need to move faster," his thoughts pressed into hers. "The hunters are closing in." Through their merged awareness, Ilara sensed them, 5 Umbra elders, ancient and powerful, moving through the crystal networks with predatory focus. Unlike Nyx, they existed in a state of perpetual hunger, their energy signatures jagged and consuming. "The transformation isn't complete," she responded, feeling the process working through her cellular structure, rebuilding her into something neither human nor Umbra. "We need more time." The Nexus around them pulsed, responding to their communion. Nyx's form had become nearly translucent, his physical boundaries dissolving as he shared more of himself with her. Ilara felt her own body changing, the violet luminescence spreading through her veins, restructuring her on a quantum level. A sudden jolt of pain tore through their connection. At the edge of the pool, an elder Umbra had thrust his hand into the Nexus, sending disruptive energy into their transformation. "Abomination," the elder hissed, his voice echoing with the emptiness of deep space. "The human must be consumed, the balance restored." Nyx's protective rage surged through their bond. Corvel, the oldest of our kind, and the most afraid of change. Ilara felt herself being pulled from the Nexus. The transformation interrupted prematurely. She fought, clinging to Nyx's energy, but the elder's power was overwhelming. As she was dragged from the pool, their connection stretched thin but didn't break, a shimmering tether still linking them across the growing distance. "Release me," she demanded, her voice carrying a resonant power that made the crystals around them vibrate. Corvel seemed momentarily startled by her transformation, but recovered quickly. "You cannot be allowed to complete this corruption. The human governments already hunt us. Imagine their response to a hybrid that proves we can coexist rather than simply feed." The revelation struck Ilara with sudden clarity. "You're not protecting your species. You're protecting your way of life, your power over them." The elder's grip tightened painfully. "For millennia we have survived by taking what we need. This exchange would remake our entire society." From the Nexus, Nyx emerged, his form flickering between solid and energy. "That's what you fear, isn't it, Corvel? Not extinction, but evolution." The other hunters surrounded them, forming a containment circle of dark energy. Through their thinned but persistent bond, Ilara felt Nyx's desperation. The transformation had progressed too far to reverse but remained incomplete, leaving them vulnerable, caught between states. There is another way. A new voice echoed through the chamber as another Umbra materialized from the shadows. Unlike the others, this one's energy signature contained flecks of gold similar to Alara's. Mira, Corvell growled. You were banished for heresy. The newcomer approached, her movements fluid and assured. I was banished for the truth, as were the others who discovered what our elders have hidden for generations. She turned to Alara. Your kind called me Amara Chen. I was a xenobiologist on the first human expedition to Proxima Centauri. 80 years ago, Alara's scientific mind raced. The Chen expedition? But all personnel were reported lost? Mira's smile was sad. Not lost, transformed. I, too, found an Umbra who showed me there was more to their feeding than simple predation. She glanced at Nyx, though we never achieved the bond you two have begun. Corvell lunged toward Mira. But she deflected his attack with surprising strength. There are more of us than you know, Corvell. Partial hybrids living in the shadows, building a new society based on exchange rather than theft. As they spoke, Alara felt the connection with Nyx strengthening again, their interrupted transformation resuming despite their physical separation. Something in Mira's presence was catalyzing the process. The corporations know, Alara realized suddenly. That's why they're mining here, not just for crystals, but looking for evidence of symbiosis between our species. Mira nodded. The crystals are a byproduct of our energy exchange. The more we give and take in balance, the more they grow. Through their strengthening bond, Nyx communicated a desperate plan. The crystal network. If we channel our combined energy through it, we can reach the surface installation. Expose the truth to both our kinds simultaneously. It was risky, potentially fatal if their partially transformed states couldn't handle the energy required. But the alternative was capture or death at the hands of either the Umbra Elders or the corporation security forces. Corvell must have sensed their communication. Stop them, he commanded the other hunters, who moved to surround Mira. In that moment of distraction, Alara placed her hands against the nearest crystal formation. Nyx did the same across the chamber, and their combined energy, violet and gold intertwined, surged into the crystal network. The entire cavern system lit up, crystal formations pulsing with their unified energy signature. Corvell howled in rage as the hunter circle broke, the younger Umbra transfixed by the unprecedented energy flow. Mira used the chaos to break free, rushing to Alara's side. You're broadcasting your transformation to every crystal receiver on the planet, she said, awe in her voice, including the corporation's main facility. Alara could barely respond, the strain of channeling such power threatening to tear her partially transformed body apart. Through the crystal network, she could feel Nyx's similar struggle, but also his determination. They were committed now. Either their message would reach the surface and change everything, or the attempt would destroy them both. As her consciousness began to fade under the strain, Alara felt rather than saw Mira add her own energy to the broadcast, strengthening the signal. Then another hybrid joined, and another, emerging from hiding throughout the crystal caverns, each adding their unique energy signature to the transmission. The last thing Alara saw before darkness claimed her was Corvell's face, twisted in fear as the truth he had suppressed for millennia finally broke free. Luminous darkness. Alara awoke to the gentle hum of crystal resonance and the warm presence of Nyx's energy intertwined with her own. She opened her eyes to an unfamiliar chamber, smaller than the Nexus but lined with the same violet crystals, their glow pulsing in perfect synchronization with her heartbeat. Welcome back, Nyx said, his form more solid than when she'd last seen him, though still surrounded by a violet gold aura. You've been unconscious for 3 planetary cycles. Alara sat up slowly, examining her transformed body. Her skin retained its human appearance but was now overlaid with a subtle luminescence that shifted between violet and gold, depending on her thoughts. When she focused on Nyx, the violet deepened. When she thought of her scientific research, gold predominated. Did it work? Our transmission? Mira entered the chamber, accompanied by a human man with the same hybrid glow. Beyond our expectations, she said. The energy surge overrode every communication system on Krylos 6. Every corporation employee, every Umbra in the caverns, they all received direct evidence of successful symbiosis. The corporate response? Ilara asked, scientist even in transformation. The human hybrid smiled. Chaos initially, then fascination. Your research credentials gave the transmission legitimacy they couldn't ignore. The resource implications alone have their shareholders in a frenzy. And the Umbra? Nyx asked, tension evident in his voice. Mira's expression grew serious. Division. Corval and the oldest elders have retreated to the void between stars, clinging to the old ways. But the younger generations, her eyes brightened. They're coming out of hiding, seeking human partners for energy exchange. Ilara absorbed this information, feeling both triumph and uncertainty. So what happens now? To us specifically? Nyx took her hand, and their energies flared at the contact, the bond between them visibly strengthening. Our transformation remains incomplete. We were interrupted at a crucial stage. Which means what exactly? You exist between states, the human hybrid explained. Neither fully human nor fully Umbra, nor even a stable hybrid like myself. Your energy signatures are still seeking equilibrium. Ilara felt it then. The underlying instability in her transformed body, the constant pull toward Nyx as their energies sought to finish what they had started. Can we complete the process? She asked. Mira and her companion exchanged glances. Theoretically, Mira said carefully. But no pair has ever progressed as far as you two. The final stage of complete energy synthesis is, she hesitated, potentially fatal, Nyx finished, or potentially transcendent. The legends speak of pairs who became something beyond either species. Ilara laughed softly. Always the optimist. A trait I acquired from you, he replied, his thumb tracing patterns on her palm. Over the next days, as negotiations between humans and Umbra began on the planet's surface, Ilara and Nyx recovered their strength in the hybrid sanctuary, hidden deep in the crystal caverns. Their bond continued to strengthen, making separation physically painful, their energies constantly reaching for each other across any distance. Scientists from the corporation, under strict supervision from Mira's hybrid community, studied their unique condition. The findings confirmed what they already knew. Their interrupted transformation had left them in an unsustainable state of flux. Eventually, their energies would destabilize completely. We need to finish what we started, Ilara told Nyx, as they stood at the edge of a smaller nexus pool, similar to the one where their transformation had begun. Whatever the outcome. Around them gathered witnesses from both species. Curious Umbra youth who had never witnessed a full bonding. Corporate scientists documenting the process, and Mira's hybrid community providing support and protection. Are you certain? Nyx asked, his eyes searching hers. Once we begin the final synthesis, there's no turning back. We will either emerge unified or not at all. Ilara smiled, the scientist in her equal to the woman in love. Exploration requires risk. Besides, she placed her hand against his chest, feeling the resonance of their shared energy. I'm already part of you. They entered the nexus together, the luminescent liquid embracing them like a living thing. This time, there were no interruptions, no elder Umbra to tear them apart. Their partially transformed bodies dissolved into pure energy, violet and gold swirling together, breaking down the final barriers between them. Ilara experienced Nyx completely. Every memory, every thought, every emotion he had ever felt. She witnessed his centuries of solitary existence, the moment he first sensed her unique energy signature, the confusion and wonder as he discovered feelings beyond hunger. In return, she opened herself entirely, sharing her childhood fascinations, her drive for discovery, her loneliness as she pursued knowledge at the expense of human connection. As their energies merged fully, something unexpected happened. Instead of simply combining, they multiplied, expanding beyond the confines of the nexus, beyond the cavern itself. Through the crystal network, their unified consciousness touched every corner of Krylos 6, connecting momentarily with every human and Umbra on the planet. For one transcendent moment, two species separated by evolution and fear experienced complete understanding of each other. When the energy surge finally receded, the nexus stood empty of the forms that had entered it. The witnesses murmured in confusion. some in grief, believing the final synthesis had consumed both participants. Then, from the center of the pool, a new form emerged, neither human nor umbra, but something luminous and dark simultaneously. As it took shape, the witnesses recognized aspects of both Ilara and Nyx, yet fundamentally transformed. Two beings remained distinct yet permanently unified, their energies no longer violet and gold but a new color altogether, one that seemed to shift depending on who observed it. "What are you?" Mira asked, approaching the edge of the pool. The being smiled with Ilara's expression but spoke with a voice that harmonized both of theirs. "We are the first of what both our species can become. Neither predator nor prey, neither taker nor giver, but a continuous exchange." The corporate scientists frantically recorded data as the crystalline structures throughout the cavern responded to the new entity, growing and changing in real time. "The energy crisis that drives your corporations to destroy worlds," the being continued, "and the hunger that forces the Umbra to prey on other species, both are symptoms of isolation. Separate, both our kinds are incomplete." In the days that followed, the entity that had once been Ilara and Nyx became the centerpiece of a new accord between humans and Umbra. The crystal energy they generated, clean, renewable, and seemingly limitless, promised an end to resource wars and predatory consumption. Some from both species resisted, clinging to separation and old identities. But for many, the path forward was clear. Across Krylos 6 and eventually beyond, humans and Umbra began the careful dance of energy exchange, learning to give and take in balance. The being that bridged worlds never again separated into its component parts. Though it retained the memories and knowledge of both Ilara and Nyx, it had become something genuinely new, the first citizen of a civilization that existed not through taking or giving, but through the luminous darkness of perfect exchange. In time, others would follow their path to complete synthesis, creating a new species that embodied the best aspects of both its progenitors. But none would forget the research scientist who had ventured too deep into crystal caverns, or the predator who had learned to care for his prey, the first to discover that sometimes the most profound transformation comes not from what we take or what we give, but from what we become together.